And basically the premise of the story was that their neighbors / landlord that lived next door to them in the duplex after they had sold the apartment building. Mm-hmm. They were real estate agents, and Helen, Audra Lindley, Mrs. Roper, helped them sell a house. And it was a big sale. I mean, they made a lot of money off of it. And then Stanley, the husband, Mr. Roper, starts getting a little miff that, it's like, hey, why don't you throw a little something our way? And basically the buildup is that there is a confrontation where Stanley, Mr. Roper, confronts the Jeffrey Tambor character. That was a really lousy thing you did, and you're a terrible person, and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, the neighbors / landlord have bought them a gift in appreciation of this big sale. And it was, and I automatically thought of you, Tim Hamilton, it was an organ with all the buttons with the different beats.
Yeah. That you're not allowed to touch.
That you're not allowed to touch. Don't touch the dog. Don't touch the heating pad. Don't touch the organ.
The organ was B. Arthur's least favorite Maude episode when her husband Walter bought an organ. So you're saying this is a crossover. This organ had bloodstains on it because it's the organ owned by Walter, where Maude stabbed him to death because he wouldn't stop playing that thing.
It's the Seti Bimco Show with your hosts, Tim and John. If you didn't order your Great Northern Beans yet, now is the time to do it.
It's the Seti Bimco Show, episode 12. A dozen. This is a show where we talk to people about their embarrassing, weird, or what other words did I use? Teenage cataclysms.
Angst.
Teenage angst, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this
or
week,
what we thought was angst.
And sometimes we look back at movies of our youth, and this week we have an interview with Sam Marlow a little later. Pretty quick. Mm-hmm. He talked a lot, so we don't have much time here.
No, we really don't.
But you were, so this week you were...
It was a rough week. Okay. Although I did come up with a new interjection, instead of wow or yikes, I had to find and just to preface this is not as glamorous as it sounds, but I work in the online department of a major national retailer based in Bentonville, Arkansas. We will not name them. We could put their name in a hashtag because they see everything online. And if they want to sponsor this show, we will mention their name.
Because we lost Coors Light.
It was all that piss in the can. I'm sorry, Tim. Boy, I messed that contract up for us. So anyway, I had to go find a case of Great Northern beans, which is like a cannelli bean. It's a white bean. They're dried beans, and I had to find them. So I was I'm walking out back onto the floor to my little order cart, and I'm like, Great Northern beans. This was hard to find. So all weekend, that was my interjection, Great Northern beans. It's cold outside.
It's a good one.
But thank you. And then Easter Sunday, I had to work Easter Sunday morning for my 5 to 2 shift. And I don't think I actually convinced anyone, but I saw a couple people trying to work it out in their brains. I told them that since the seasons are opposite in the Southern Hemisphere, that when it's Easter here, it's Christmas in Australia.
What are you telling people that for?
I just messed with their minds. And as I said, nobody actually fell for it totally, but I could see a couple people mulling it over in their brains that does kind of make sense. And when it's Easter there, it's Christmas up here. Yes. Yeah, they have their trees out on Sunday. It was, Easter's always on December 25th.
But what do they do? Why are people out shopping on Easter? Why aren't they home?
Well, I guess some people forgot a couple things, so you're, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. But then there were actually some people out there, I guess maybe Easter's not that big a deal for some people.
It's not.
There's some people who are actually doing their week full shopping carts and anyway. And that was about that way till about 1 PM, and then it kind of dropped off.
Okay. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too. How was your week? I know you've got your birthday coming up. It's your birthday week.
I don't even care about my birthday much, but
of course you care about your birthday. You gonna have a little cake or a little?
I never care. I mean, we're just let's go here and eat sushi. That's all I want to do.
Well, okay, that's something though. I mean, you do if not celebrate it, acknowledge it.
Yeah. But this last weekend, I'm going to keep this story short because, as you know, we adopted a dog, Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about your dog is like if I had a kid, I'm like, hey, my kid, he won the spelling bee. He spelled
Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia, right? Whatever. And but we, through the adoption people, we know where Soul's brother is in Queens, and we know them on Instagram. And this weekend we went to the dog run. The city is a fenced-in area, so you can let your dog run around. Mm-hmm. And Soul went to the dog park for the first time. And she met her brother at the dog park. And it was, I will only say, just very, very interesting. As soon as they both saw each other, they just were like playing with each other the rest of the day. It was like, so I don't know scientifically whether they have a scent that they remember. Yeah. It's only been 3 months since they saw each other.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, so no, that's not out of the realm of if it was like, if they were like 10-year-old dogs, I'd be like, I don't know about that. But no, that young, no, probably.
So it was very...
there probably is something to that.
Very the heart-melting moment, anyway, that they were so happy to see each other.
That is nice.
But
see, the only difference about you talking about your dog and people talking about their kids is that I actually care to listen about what you have to say about your dog.
I knew you were going to. No. So we'll stop all this chit chat and introduce our special guest today, John. Sam Marlow. Yay! We don't.
Not to be confused with the great playwright Christopher Marlowe.
That's true. I've been named after all the Marlows that have ever existed.
There you go. Because had Christopher Marlowe not been stabbed in that tavern, we may have never heard of William Shakespeare.
Oh, there you go.
A lot of English literature scholars say he was the better playwright. Were you ever stabbed in a bar, Sam?
No.
See, that would have made a great story. Okay,
maybe a few close calls, but nothing too British. Although I am named after that British name. It is a very British sounding name.
Isn't Sam Marlowe a detective?
Also true.
Yeah, yes. Was that Raymond Chandler? Or was that Dashiell Hammett?
I think it was Chandler.
I think you're right, yeah.
But there's also, isn't there a Philip Marlowe as well? That's one of those detective movies.
Yes, there is. And I'm trying to piece it all together.
Was that starring Chevy Chase?
I don't know.
Or was that? No, I'm thinking of Fletch.
You're thinking of Fletch, Tim.
Or Caddyshack. Wasn't he a detective in Caddyshack?
that great film noir classic, Caddyshack.
But I am always naturally drawn to the grizzled noir detectives. So when the new Batman movie came out, I was pretty excited.
You went to see that instead of listening to our podcast, didn't you?
Yeah.
Does Sam even know the story behind that? Like, I don't know.
I don't know if that episode is out, but
I'll be honest. I listened to like a couple of minutes of one of the episodes just to
kind of see what you were getting into. I understand. It's okay.
And then my wife called me for something, and I had to go. I'm going to use that as my excuse.
There you go.
I would like to point out that Sam is in a closet.
That's true.
Literally, he's sitting in a closet. I see his coats and shoes.
Oh, I was in a closet for a lot of years, but I don't think our stories are the same. But
no,
I guess
no.
They never mentioned that the closet has good sound insulation.
I know.
All the fabric. I think it was your suggestion.
I appreciate it. I just thought you'd sit near the closet, not like lock yourself in there. Because I've heard that if you get into a closet and you try to watch pornography on your computer, it glitches. It doesn't upload quickly. I've heard.
It doesn't. No, it's. I've heard that too. Yeah, it's.
I've just heard this.
Look, I'm so gay. I'm like trying to look at the shoes behind Sam. Like, wow, those are a lot of shoes.
Those are nice shoes.
These are my
very nice shoes. Good. Yes, very, very nice. Very Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City. Yeah,
she likes to live that kind of life. She likes to live like that.
Your poor wife doesn't know you're showing off her shoes to a couple other guys. We pay money. We pay money to have Sam show us his wife's shoes secretly.
Like when my wife and I walk down the street, like people look at her and like are amazed, and then like I'm afraid that they look at me and like, why? Like that clearly doesn't match. Like we don't match up on the street, but indoors we look like background extras from Fiddler on the Roof. Like very like,
if I were a rich man, la 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 la.
Like that's like our routine every day.
I wanted to go see though. Jackie Hoffman did the. There's a Yiddish theater up in is it on the Upper West Side perhaps, and they
I saw that or something like it. I saw the Yiddish rendition of Fiddler, and it was amazing.
Yes, and I believe Jackie Hoffman, who was in that Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, Ryan Murphy miniseries. She was the, and I have a mutual friend. I've never met Jackie Hoffman in my life, but I have a mutual friend. So I wanted to go see that.
You did see it, Sam.
I did. It was before COVID.
Okay.
It had translations in Hebrew, Russian, and English. But you don't, if like no one speaks Yiddish, so you just had to follow the story by the sound of the songs or the way they were acting.
Interesting.
It was really fun to watch. I'd never seen anything like that.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's almost kind of like watching opera. If you don't speak French or you don't speak Italian,
right? Jewish
I
opera.
mean, it's the same principle.
Pretty much.
Except no one can afford the opera.
Right. I thought real hard this week about the premise of this podcast and what you had asked of me. And I think I came up with something. But how do you like to start the embarrassing story stuff?
Well, even if you... well, we were going to talk to you first. You're giving us an hour? You're giving us an hour?
Yeah,
we're just going to...
You want to plug? You can plug.
Well, I'll plug his cartoons. If you want to do it now, go ahead.
Yeah, my cartoons are on my Instagram account. I haven't updated it since, I think, a year. It's not a good plug. I've been, like I was talking to Tim last week, I've been out of the cartoon game for a long time.
No.
I'm sort of getting back into it. And I'm just submitting to the New Yorker. They bought one a couple months ago.
Well, Sam, we didn't really introduce you. Sam.
Oh.
You know,
okay.
Last time we had another person who was a host on a podcast. And so this time I totally forgot. I apologize. I should have said, this is Sam Marlow, animator, New Yorker cartoonist.
I know there were some Adult Swim things.
That's true. Those are
and some things that do not involve smoking marijuana with a bag of Doritos in front of your TV at 1:45.
I
mean,
found
that's
it.
how it started.
You worked on Super Jail.
That's right. Yeah, I worked on Super Jail season 3 and 4.
Okay. Have you seen Super Jail, John?
I have, yeah.
Really? Oh my God!
When I'm smoking marijuana, eating Doritos,
that's
he's
the
lying.
only way
in front of my TV at quarter.
John's the guy that knows all about Shakespeare and English literature. I'm the one that knows about Super Jail.
I'm always shocked when people know what Super Jail is. I remember doing like Mocha Fest or any of the smaller conventions in New York, and I would tell people about the show, and it was out at the time, and I would tell everyone that came by, and they'd be like, "No, I never heard of it. I'll check it out," but they're not going to watch it. And then I meet someone who did know who it was, and they would be the weirdest character at the entire convention. And I'm like,
welcome to the Seti Bimco show. Anyway,
those are the fans.
That would be us. That would be us.
Well, Super Jail is certainly hard to describe. I wouldn't know how to describe it.
What is it? I mean, I've talked. The creator would say it's like Willy Wonka, but in a prison, but with acid, on acid the whole time.
And is it still on? Did it?
No. It's been the 4th season killed it. I like to think that the season I worked on the most is why it's done.
Come on.
I like to think I put the final nail on that coffin.
It was a great ending. It ended really nicely. The creator of the show, Christy Caracas, worked on another series called Ball Masters. I worked on both seasons of that show. That was a lot of fun. So same crew, same creator, similar style, but with more anime influence. And it was really, really fun. It's like gladiator ball sport game in like the far future. It's like post apocalypse.
I thought Ball Masters would be a show that you would hide in the closet and download onto your computer.
There's so many jokes like that in the show. That's why.
Sorry,
I thought Ballmasters was a gay bar I went in Atlanta once, but anyway.
The jokes were endless for this.
They are, and then there was that Nico and the Nico and the Late Sword. Am I getting that title right? I saw the trailer for that, and that looked very heavily anime influenced.
That was it's like a really big fantasy show. So for all these shows, I was a background designer. So I've done very little animation work as in terms of like character animation. I'm mostly a background designer.
But I saw your reel. You have done animation.
I have done it. It is grueling. I did not enjoy it as much.
Do you see the animated advertisement I do for this show? Have you seen them?
I haven't seen it. No.
All weekend, and so all I do every week is just put new audio on it. I'm not going to.
Yeah, you gotta you gotta make it like economic and use every bit of the animal for animation. It's so much work.
It is.
I have so much respect for all the animators that I worked with at Titmouse. Like they did it so much more easily than I like. For the thousands of frames that they do, like 100 frames for me would be very difficult. So I give it's a lot of respect for that kind of work.
And
that's why I did backgrounds, so it's easier. It's less work. It's like less drawing.
Did you work with Douglas Olson?
No, who's that?
Okay, he worked at Titmouse a little while, but then he went to L.A. and he's now he was in my Brooklyn studio when I shared a studio with other artists. So, and he got a job. He got a job. Yes, he got a job with Rick and Morty. So
I love that show.
He just directed the Thanksgiving episode last year, but he's I forget all his credits on that show. He's worked on a lot of parts of it. So, but he was here first. Him and Victoria. You know Victoria? Did she?
Victoria. Sounds familiar.
She was an intern in our studio. I don't know if she's stuck with animation. All right. Anyway.
No. The thing is that at Titmouse, even before COVID, they asked me to start working at home so they can make room for like the new interns. So I haven't physically seen anyone from there in like 3 years.
Sam, I wanted to explain to John that the last holiday, the New Yorker had a party, and Sam, did you go to this online party? You know what I'm talking about?
It was an online party.
No, I didn't.
You didn't get invited? Or you didn't
I don't even know. I don't even remember. I vaguely remember. I get the emails from Colin. I see what's going on, and I go, okay. I have something else comes in.
The holiday party last year. It was a virtual map of the office. You signed up with your avatar, and you walked around the room. And when you got close to people, you could hear them talking. And you walk away, you can't hear them talking. So you had to find people's avatar, and you walk over to the group where Emma is standing. She's the cartoon editor for John. Like everybody's standing around her icon talking to her.
That's amazing. Just to get that bird's eye view of how people are socializing that's a little creepy and very amazing.
It was. I'm so sorry you didn't go. It was just an interesting experience.
That's funny. It's really,
didn't
really
go.
funny.
It's like what you clicked on. I mean, Tim, what was there to go to?
You gotta get on the digital train. I went on the digital street to go to the digital office. You take the elevator right up.
It was a weird experience. That's all.
How long did you stay? And did you how do you go to the bathroom? How do you exit?
I think everybody had that joke. Where's the bathroom? So
where's the bathroom?
I'd walk around and some people didn't have a good avatar. I'm like, who is that? Oh, that's him. And you just shout because you can't see their faces. I'm like, hey, so-and-so. I'm like, oh, hey.
They didn't use the little New Yorker, that little graphic for all their faces.
Nope.
They have on their.
I think you picked your own. You picked your own little picture.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's
anyway,
fascinating.
We have a New Yorker cartoonist on the show, John. John's always like, not always, but at first you're like, talk about being a New Yorker cartoonist. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Well, because I have been a subscriber to the New Yorker for 40? Who's president now? 30 at least.
Nice.
30 years, yeah.
But Tim, you have one in the magazine this week. That's awesome.
I do. That's right.
It's good.
For your birthday week too. That's great.
That is. Someone knows.
Tim's birthday is in 2 days.
Congratulations.
So that's why. Happy birthday, Tim.
Thank you.
And don't worry, you'll always be 2 months and 1 day younger than I. And in leap years, 2 months and 2 days younger than I.
I think our birthdays are on the same time. If your birthday's in 2 days, My birthday's next Wednesday.
Oh,
so we're both a Taurus.
Yes, we are.
Taurus.
Stubborn.
That's as much.
I was in
as
a relationship
I know.
with a Taurus. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tauruses are the best. We're the most reliable.
Well,
very demanding. Oh, I did not say we can edit that out, right? Yeah. Anyway.
but Sam, when you, but this is our opportunity to talk about New Yorker cartoons. I wanted the first time you went to see Bob Mankoff. He was the editor.
Yeah.
Before our recent editor, Emma, is the editor now. But when we first sold our cartoons, Bob was there.
Right.
What was your first meeting with him like? Anything?
Very, very weird. I remember having just seen that documentary on HBO about Bob and the New Yorker's history. And like, I was, let me start back. I was at Titmouse and I did a job with Paul Noth. He had hired a bunch of people to do an animated pitch for Nickelodeon. And I just got like mixed into that group. And I didn't put the pieces together that he was this cartoonist that had been doing it for like 20 years. And then when the job was over, I asked him, like, how do I do that? I've always wanted to do a New Yorker cartoon. And he just like sort of trained me for months. Like I would show him batches and he would tell me what's good, what's bad. This is what they like, this is what they don't like. And I did all those stupid mistakes that like the beginners do. That
you draw a big penis on the cartoon. That's
yes, giant genitals, like watermark.
That's
like
a watermark
for every cartoon.
Always good for a laugh. Huge genitals. Always good for a huge laugh.
I just made it my signature in the end, so it's always in there. But he told me how to go to the office and just sign on the sheet, and it's like crazy to think you could just walk into an office and say you're here for cartoons and they let you in.
Well, it's security's tight down there. That's World Trade Center.
I know. And this was, they just moved to the new office. It was, I think it's on the 35th floor. I don't know if they moved again. I heard they shifted things around a little bit. But I think when I went on the first day, I met Brendan Lopper. He was the first cartoonist I met in person. And it was his first time in the office as well. But he was like, he had been studying for like 2+ years and his batches were like amazing and mine were very, very rudimentary. But I met with Bob. He took a couple of them. He told me the ones he didn't like. He told me the ones he liked. He tried to riff with me a little bit. I cracked him up once. I think I made him laugh a few times when he was there. That was pretty satisfying. And then I left, and then I sold one on my second batch.
Nice.
And that was I remember Colin telling me in person that was pretty fun.
And just for John, Bob was very like when I would go in, give him he would want 10 cartoons every week, and I gave him my cartoons on. I have them printed out, and he'll just look and go puts them in a pile that maybe he'll keep, maybe he won't keep. And sometimes he won't say more than that. So that's why Sam's like, hey, I cracked him up. And I think I only cracked him up once, one cartoon he didn't buy or didn't even try to buy. I drew a nicely dressed man with a butler in a nice house. And he's saying to the butler, I don't know, Jeeves, go get my pajamas. I feel like drawing cartoons today. And he laughed at that, but then he gave it to me like, no, I'm not going to buy that one.
Thing is,
a little too much inside humor.
I don't even think I made him laugh from a cartoon. I think I just like I said something. We were just talking about something, and that's always been my problem. I didn't even
mean to make him laugh.
I know I did not. I was trying to keep up with him, and his mind was working way faster than mine. So I was just trying to, stay alert as much as I could.
He did hold one of mine up once. I brought in. He says, and it was a bad pun. He goes, puns. We don't do that here. He handed it back to me.
That's true. No puns.
But I didn't care. I didn't care if he was. He just tell me what you like and don't like. It's fine. I'm not all upset.
So I just had a question. See, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, like the standards, like what is one thing they absolutely will not publish or even accept or even look at. Okay,
silly puns. I think
puns like bathroom jokes about cartoons. I don't think they like the meta stuff. I don't know if that still works today. I've seen a few that get in there, but those are generally, they must be harder to sell.
No cartoons with a big penis on it, like
No
I told
penises,
Sam.
No.
Because even David Sedaris, he talks about when he submits work to the New Yorker, and since they're essays, they're nonfiction. And he wrote this when he went back home to North Carolina, and he and his brother-in-law were in a Costco or one of those big box stores, and they were walking around with 2 pounds of strawberries. And David Sedaris had a gross of condoms in the shopping cart. Now everybody was looking at them like they were a gay couple. And but then like the editor calls and says, well, we did some research, and the largest package of condoms you can get at a Costco is 20 or 40 or something like that. So they had him start. He's like, no, this is humor. They're like, well, no, it's nonfiction, so it's got to be factual. And yeah.
It's so funny how like certain things are like that would never happen, but it's all based on a made up premise to begin with.
Exactly. It's like you're not reporting on the war in Ukraine. You're not giving like false information about the Russian offensive. It's you were using hyperbole, and it was funny, And
but it's like it'd be like the difference between like someone calling it like fake cartoons. Like that's a fake cartoon.
That's a fake cartoon.
There's misinformation in this cartoon. It's very that's funny. I sent in a cartoon like 2 weeks ago, and Emma wrote me back having a comment from her meeting with David. It was a diamond heist joke, and I drew this giant diamond. It was like the size of a football, and she was like, "Can you make the diamond smaller?"
Really?
And like I wanted to say no, because it's funny because it is so big. You can read it easily. It's right there. Like I know there's no diamonds like that, but it's funny to see how like silly it looks.
Well, that was a David comment.
I don't know. I feel like it sounds like it is. I know Emma would have liked it.
We'll bleep his name out. I want to say Emma's name in the podcast so that I can then hashtag Emma and
she'll come into our show.
Widen my audience. Yeah. No, I don't want to ask any boss like person on the show. That's very weird. I would think.
Do you want me to send an email to him?
Yes, you can send it.
But
and then if they say anything, you'll be like, I can't control my co-host. He needs to be medicated. I'm so sorry about that, Emma.
Needs to be more medicated. More
medicated. Maybe the doctor's right. Maybe I do need the third pill every day.
We talked for almost half an hour, and we didn't talk about your teen embarrassment, which you can tell us whatever you want. But from what you told me, I told John that you kind of have a big story that is basically, and I don't know what you're going to go with, but we are going to talk about your Star Wars collection.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So it's an embarrassing thing to have done. It's not a story exactly, but I thought of a story that seems a little embarrassing in my career as an illustrator.
Oh, okay.
So first part, do you remember that bit from Conan O'Brien where Triumph, the insult comic dog, makes fun of all the Star Wars fans waiting to see the movie?
Yes.
I was in line that day to see the movie. I watched Robert Smigel do the puppet and make fun of it.
You got to meet Triumph, the insult comedy dog?
I watched him make fun of Star Wars nerds. It was great. It was so much fun.
That's awesome.
Me and my brother went. We had the best time. It was a miserable experience, but that was great. Like watching like the Conan crew come and do that, and watching Robert Smigel is like, and there's so much stuff they cut out that they didn't put in the bit.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And we watched on TV. I'm in the shot, like in the background, just sort of like behind some guy.
You are the second person I know in line in that bit. I know someone else that's in that line. This is weird.
This is a new podcast of people in line from that Star Wars Ziegfeld.
Wow. This makes my Gregory Peck story pale in comparison. But anyway, go ahead.
So that was embarrassing, being online for that, waiting for a shitty movie that no one really ever remembers.
Which one was it? This is one of the prequels?
Yes. Yeah, this is the second prequel movie.
Oh, Yeah, I think most of us are sort of like, you really didn't need. Maybe you could have done one movie, kind of explained it a little, but did you really need 3? Yeah.
Yeah, we should have learned our lesson from the first one. Just like, don't wait online for that. But I was 15, and we were just like, we were still in it. And me and my brother, we had this Star Wars collection that I was telling Tim about last week. That we had like 3,000 individual little pieces. It was worth probably a couple thousand, because we've ended up selling it for like $4,000 to some warehouse in Michigan, and they just hauled it off in like one big truck. They just took it all in one big thing.
I did want to back up and say, you're. I don't know if you feel it's an embarrassing thing.
Yes,
like how?
I do.
Well,
like I
tell
couldn't
us
talk
what
to
age
girls.
did you start?
I had no friends. Like this is like age 7 to 15. This is like prime. Like make friends. Like have fun in high school. Go out and socialize. I didn't do any of that.
You're right.
Was this mostly because you're collecting Star Wars figures?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotcha.
And did you, just to clarify, did you only do the toys, or did you collect anything like a Star Wars comic or a Star Wars bubble bath, whatever they had? Were you like collecting everything?
Wish we did like comics and stuff. That would have been interesting. But we did like potato chip bags, like pretzels.
What, that were Star Wars?
Pepsi cans, like anything that they would brand, we would buy it.
But not and the toys.
And the toys, toys were like the foundation. Everything else was sort of
the gravy
derivative of that. And we went to the Star Wars conventions, and those are rough. Those are really rough.
Were they every year?
Yeah, like they would have them in like Denver and Indianapolis, and.
No, you mean rough? You going all the way to go there was rough, or that was a bad experience?
Bad experience. The fans, Star Wars fans, that's a rough crew.
Really?
Like, I have
really.
I have more fun talking with Star Trek.
Well, of course, sometimes. A much better crowd of people. Star Trek.
If my friend Dan is hearing this, he would, think this is like blasphemy, because as much as I love Star Wars, Star Trek is a lot more.
Yes, your choice is logical.
Easygoing. Like Star Trek fans are not like as intense.
Right.
Wow.
But were they? I mean,
can I just say one thing? I do have a story where, like, when the first prequel came out, I was still when you would go into a record store, quote, to buy CDs. When was this? Would have been like 99, maybe that first one came out. Okay. And like the sales clerk had a stack of the Phantom Menace John Williams soundtrack on the counter, and like very aggressively forced me to buy a copy of
it. He forced you.
He was like rabid like Star Wars.
Use the Force.
Jedi mind tricks, John. Come on.
It was just. Oh, there was no mind trick. I was scared out of my wits. I was like, okay, let me put that in the pile. And then of course, like the soundtrack album debuts at like number 2 on the Billboard album chart. I'm like, it's all because of that guy down at the record store.
I mean, it's still a John Williams score. It's very good.
I'm sure. Yeah. He's
not wrong. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. But it's like, I don't really think, so aggressively.
That is an aggressive guy. You expect him to work at a bar called Battle Balls or something.
Called Ball Masters.
Masters. What was the name of that show?
Ball Masters.
Ball Masters.
I told you, Ball Masters.
I think the full title is Ball Masters 69, something like that.
I'm telling you, I really think that was a gay bar, and it really was a gay bar in Atlanta. I think those were my very heavy drinking days. I can't be sure, but I'm almost convinced that's where they got that name.
You'll have to ask the creator.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they'll never own up to it.
So, but to get back to these conventions that you think are rough, I'd rather talk about Ball Masters, but we'll get back to the Star Wars.
I guess I'm speaking to the larger problem I have of going to conventions in general.
Oh,
I know they're fun. I'm not crazy about them. I've always had a hard time with it. So that's my issue that I'm projecting.
But did you spend all day at the show with your stuff and like haggling, like, can I buy this for this much? I mean, was that just what you did, or did you? Okay.
Yeah, we were trying to like make money from these toys. Like we'd buy them at Toys R Us in New Jersey or something for like whatever low price they had. Go to the conventions, try to sell them to these dealers or trade for more valuable action figures. It was all speculation. It's like.
Right.
It's like day trading.
Like commodities, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
pork bellies.
they're all worthless now. They're all the horrible discoveries that they're worth plastic and paper as much as they're,
Were people like Carrie Fisher or anybody, did they show up, or is this completely
That's what I was going to ask.
No, some of the actors would be there, but not like the famous, Harrison Ford's not going to this thing.
The guy who played Boba Fett. They just put a helmet on a guy and like, here he is.
Yeah, I got his autograph. I got Jeremy Bullock. He died not too long ago. I got his autograph on a poster.
Wow.
I got Darth Maul's autograph. He charged $20 for that.
$20 for.
I know.
My God, think of what Harrison Ford would have charged.
I think he doesn't do a picture for
sold it in Oregon.
Whatever scale Harrison Ford does for a movie, he's probably doing for an autograph. But all the actors who were the lesser known characters.
Speaking of the Boba Fett,
the pilots
person, what was his name?
Jeremy Bullock.
Are you familiar with the story of Mark Twitchell? I won't go down this road very far.
No,
I was doing Star Trek. Yes, I was watching Star Trek, but I was trying to do Star Wars research. Right. Mark Twitchell was a man who wanted to make a Star Wars fan film, and he wanted to be a serial killer, and he failed at both. He did murder one person, but
okay. So he did a little better.
Johnny Atlinger of White Rock, British Columbia.
What? Oh, you're the victim.
Johnny Atlinger of... Yeah, you wouldn't be laughing if you were Johnny Atlinger of White Rock, British Columbia, Tim.
What are you doing?
Referring to my notes that I so meticulously researched for this episode.
Anyway, I thought it was odd that he made a fan movie and he hired the man who played Boba Fett because, he's wearing a helmet. Why'd you spend that money? You can look it up.
That's like the logic of a serial killer.
Yeah, it is.
They would go to great lengths for something not really worth it in the end.
You should, anyway. Sorry.
And by the way, had George Lucas, there is no way that film would have seen the light of day even if it got finished. George Lucas would have stopped that. Did he think George Lucas was going to go, oh, I'm so flattered. What a nice film to make. He had go down to the Wookiee. I'm like, no, there is no way George Lucas would have let that film even see the light of day.
Well, if it's a fan film and you don't charge money, it's okay. If that's what he wanted to do.
Maybe he was hoping to get a job at Industrial Light and Magic or something. I don't know.
Well, some people, you go online, there are whole episodes of Star Trek people made. They don't make money. They just want to make it, and they put in all this special effect work, or they just take it from the show. Sam's shaking his head. Are you familiar with this? And there's probably a lot of Star Wars.
I've watched those.
You watched those Star Trek episodes.
Yeah. There was this show that someone did. It was called Star Trek: The Saga Continues, or something like that, where he recreated the sets, hired actors who look kind of like the original 60s characters. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've seen episodes. Not all of them.
It's kind of amazing that that they did that. But then the guy, I think, got caught for sexual misconduct, so kind of fell apart.
Of course. Using the old Vulcan death grip, as they say. Right. Anyway. I don't know why I think that sounds sexually, vaguely sexual, but I just thought it was funny off the top of my head.
They got suspicious.
That's why Mel Brooks took all the sex jokes and mushed them into Spaceballs and did us all a favor. And put it in one place. He put it in one place.
I realize, because I've written some songs, and I realize all my songs are inspired by Mel Brooks. They're stupid lyrics and just really cheesy tunes. And I just realized, oh my God, I am writing Mel Brooks music.
Yeah. The Inquisition's one of the best.
Oh my God.
Love that one.
Oh my gosh. Oh, he did so many High Anxiety. Just with him singing that a Sammy Davis Jr. song.
Great song. Very good song, but not his best movie, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so either. I was going to say, I tried to watch it recently, during the pandemic, and I was a little bit
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to watch.
I loved it as a kid. I remember as a kid, I was like, this is, the best thing ever.
Yeah.
That one, and Woody Allen's, What's the One Reason Jail? Take the Money and Run.
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like
a good
that.
one. Good one.
Anyway. This is about Star Wars, and you're
getting back to I'll wrap up the Star Wars embarrassment story. So the toys are going on. That it fizzles out by the time I have to think about getting into a college. I think that's kind of what stopped it.
I do want to. I only want to back you up. There's so much I want to know.
Okay.
You live in New York, so
yes.
Did you have extra room in your apartment for all this stuff, or was it like piled under your bed on your walls? I mean,
we had to like store it in a way. I shared a bedroom with I have a twin brother, so we shared a bedroom, and it was probably like 100 square feet or less of space. Oh, wow. And we just sort of stored it all in little compartments on the walls, the ceiling, like every inch of that room was it was like a shrine to Star Wars. Kind of disgusting the way I described it. And we'd use a closet in the apartment. We lived in Union Square, so we had my parents got this like loft space from like the 70s when stuff was cheap. So there was some space to do it, but not a lot.
And what did your parents say? Anything? Or?
They was happy he wasn't doing drugs. I mean,
yeah, but I did drugs anyway later.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really matter. I waited until college. They were okay with it. They'd give us some money for it every once in a while. It looked like we were like ambitious little kids with like a little business going on. But again, did not help make friends. It was hard,
Right.
I would always try to talk about it in school. My brother would nudge me to be like, "Don't talk about it. Like, what do you like? You're embarrassing us."
Yeah.
I thought it was cool, but I guess it's not.
Talk about cool stuff like Ball Masters.
Like Ball Masters.
Which oddly enough is
that a gay bar in Atlanta?
I think that's the review of the show. Isn't that a gay bar in Atlanta?
Isn't that a gay bar in Atlanta? That was the tagline.
I do recommend that show. It is very good.
I'm gonna have to watch it now.
It's a pretty cool show.
I'm gonna have to watch it now.
I'm going right now.
Okay, bye, Tim. I'll finish the interview.
That's the only other thing I'm plugging. Maybe I'll plug some more stuff at the end. Oh no, I have one more thing to plug later.
But I did a lot of research. That's why I don't know if John did all the research I did. So we're just going to bug you with Star Trek questions. Star Wars questions, and then Star Trek questions.
Throw out all your research, and we'll just talk about some couple of movies that
Did you get your hands on the rocket firing Boba Fett?
No, I never got that one. That is a rare piece that everyone knows about. It was a toy that was designed in the 70s for the original movie because Boba Fett was in the original. He was supposed to be, but they cut him out. And so they had a design toy of it, and the rocket pack would shoot off, and like it was going to be choking hazard, so they discontinued it.
Yes.
So it only exists as like a blank model for
like a prototype almost.
Yeah. So it's like the rarest. It's like the Lord of the Rings ring of the toys.
And did you ever collect any of the off-model figures from Turkey? I saw a whole show about Star Wars.
I think I had one international toy. Maybe it was like a Tusken Raider. It looks the same except the label has a new sticker, but it's in like 3 different languages, so you don't know what it says.
My research was watching The Toys That Made Us. You know the show from Netflix?
Yeah,
okay. I watched the episode about
I watched that and I was like, I know that one, I know that one. Most of the toys I collected were from the 90s. All the 70s stuff I had like opened like in a bin that my grandfather had collected. So I had those, but they were not in good condition.
So I was just going to say, I found my, they had a novelized form. It was like I think it was 95 cents, a novelized paperback of The Empire Strikes Back that I got right before I saw the movie.
Yeah. The original, when you saw the original Empire Strikes Back?
The original Empire Strikes Back from 1980?
Yeah.
81?
Yeah. So did they say that like Vader was his dad in the printed version, and then
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll find it. I found it at my mom's house the other day because my mom saves everything. So that
might be worth something.
John just wanted to read that so he could say the book was better.
The book was better than the movie. Yes, I have forced my friends to go to the 9:30 show instead of the 7 o'clock show because I couldn't make the 7 o'clock show because I had to read the book so I could say the book was better than the movie. No, but I did. I read it because we were living in Saugerties at the time. And I remember it didn't come to Saugerties right away. And I can't remember why we couldn't. I couldn't see it right away. So I found it. It was 95 cents because I saw it on the cover. I think they did say. Because at that point, the movie was out, and it was probably out anyway.
Oh, I see.
Okay. I thought it was before. Okay.
No, it was concurrent. No, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It didn't come out before the movie came out. I got it before I got to see the movie.
It's still probably worth something because that's a pretty old print.
Maybe $1.95. Actually, it's in pretty good condition for something that a 14-year-old boy had in 1980.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's 40 something years old now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm older than we are older than you. I went to see.
I am 2 months and a day older than you, Tim.
Sam? When you saw the first prequel, you were in high school or just ending?
I was in middle school. I
was
my God, about 12 or 13.
I went to. I was living.
But I'm 45 now, so don't worry about it.
Well, I was living in Brooklyn, and I went to the theater, and I got there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is before you went online, bought your ticket. I went there, big line.
The golden age.
And I was walking down the aisle, and this is this is what I remember most from going to see Phantom Menace, the first prequel. I could see by the lights down the front row, there was a older lady with gray hair with her walker, and she was like, "Gotta get to my seat. I'm so excited." And I just remember thinking, wow, I am so old. There's a lady in her walker who obviously was young enough to see the other movies, and she's here to see that movie.
Yeah.
She's there to see that movie, and then she could die.
Yes.
She was like, I lived long enough. I had my doctor keep me alive long enough until I could see the Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace probably killed her, right?
Yeah. And that's the irony.
The dialogue did her in the end.
Dialogue.
Yes. Jar Jar Binks alone. She was.
Oh my God.
That's the saddest story. What happened to that guy is like the worst imaginable thing to happen. Something you said earlier about the book was better. They should do like a book aisle in Barnes & Noble called The Book Was Better.
The book was better.
And just put movies that had the books first so people know.
Right.
And they go, oh, I guess it was better. So they go and read the book.
I guess it was better. I mean, if you just had some disposable income, just open like a bookstore called The Book Was Better.
Yeah. That's a great title for
And they have a special...
They have you just have it as a tax write-off. It's never going to make money.
It would be called The Bookstore Was Better.
The bookstore was better.
Yeah. You're giving away ideas, Sam. We're just going to take them.
That's fine.
And I think every month there should be the book was incredibly better, like spotlight for things like breakfast at Tiffany's.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, yeah. Or Bright Lakes Big City, or...
I know.
Within the store, you could have a section called "The Movie Made Some Improvements."
Yeah, okay.
There you go. There could be like this little like the equivalent of the video store that had the porno, like that room with like the porno movies. You had like a little room like that behind a curtain with.
Imagine a porn that's based on a book.
Right. Interesting. Animated by Ray Bradbury. I mean, sorry, Ray
Harryhausen.
I'm cutting that out. That's a joke from last week, anyway. Harryhausen, I meant.
Well, it was new to me.
You know Harryhausen, Ray Harryhausen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank God.
So here's my question. Not to get too far down but like, and you know, this is gonna be a short question. But it's like, okay, so Tim and I were 11 years old when the first movie came out. So we actually remember a time, the first 11 years of our lives, where there was no Star Wars. And it was this new thing when we were kids. So basically, do you even remember the first time you saw a Star Wars movie? Or has it just been such a part of your life that you can't even remember? Like me at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, like I remember like watching Empire Strikes Back first. Like it was just on, someone was watching it. I just remember like, what the hell's going on here? This is interesting. And it was really intense and very dark. And then I remember sort of watching everything out of order, but it did kind of always exist for me. I guess I didn't know what it was when I was 5. I kind of knew about it when I was 6, 7 years old. I was all in.
Okay.
Because when I was 5, 6, or 7, I was watching the Zapruder film on TV. I was like, what's going on with this?
Trying to make out the figure in the grassy knoll.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. It was always around. It's I was always watching Star Trek and always watching Star Wars. It's just the continuum of sci-fi stuff that just always works best.
We're coming up close to the hour you're giving us.
So I have the end of the story.
The end of the story, okay.
For the Conan bit that I was in the background in for one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Years later, through someone at Titmouse, I got some gig with Robert Smigel. Like I was about to do a little job for him.
Nice.
And it was like 1 a.m. He emailed me. I don't know how he got my contact. Maybe it was through Paul. I don't really remember, but he needed 3 drawings of Trump for like some joke about like a casino bit. It was something, he needed some caricature of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, sure, Mr. Smigel, I'll do it. And I tried. It was so late. I had no energy. I could not, for my life, do a caricature. That's why I do backgrounds, because I can't draw characters very well. And so halfway through, I just sort of like, it's 2 a.m, like super late. I just emailed him, I can't do it. I'm not going to deliver the job for you. He's like, okay, don't worry about it. And that was the end of that story. But I've heard from one of my former, I used to work with this guy, Dan Medea. He's a good friend. He works at Titmouse as a storyboard artist. He used to work for SNL in the 90s with Robert Smigel on those old cartoons.
Okay. He would say, gay duo, yeah.
He worked on that show. He worked on those episodes, like the Friends one and like Saturday TV Funhouse, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he would say that Robert Smigel would always send some crazy assignment late at night, and no one could get them done in time. So he's like, "You got Smigled." I was like, "Oh,
you got Smigled."
You got Smigled?
Something like that.
Wait,
yeah, something like that.
You mean it was a real job, or he was doing this as
he was doing like some gig. I don't know what he just needed some illustrations of Trump, and I couldn't deliver it.
No, but he did this all the time to people. So you're saying
it was something he would do normally back in the 90s, I think. Unless my friend was just making up that term, but
to make you feel better.
He said it sounded familiar. It's like a very familiar request. So a lot of drawings late at night, very short deadline. So I didn't feel alone in not being able to deliver.
It's happened to all of us.
I didn't worry about it. Like, I don't want to draw Trump. I didn't like him. I don't want to draw him.
I had to draw him too many times. I did a lot of political cartoons with him.
You're better suited for it. I can't do it. It's just not in my it's not in my wheelhouse.
Because after I did I adapted. Sorry, John. I adapted.
No, it's okay.
I did 2 adaptions, and I did a story about what happened in Rwanda. Anyway, not trying to get through the story fast. And after I did this documentary comic, someone else contacted me and said, "You want to do the life story of Rush Limbaugh in a graphic novel format?" And I was like, "No, I do not want to do that. I want to draw him for however many pages that was." I mean, they didn't tell me the amount of money. I kind of wonder how much money they'd have to offer before I'd be like, well...
What would it take?
Yeah.
How much?
But what you do is like you just draw Rush Limbaugh as an adult at every stage of life, like Rush Limbaugh as an adult in a diaper, Rush Limbaugh as an adult in a stroller.
And you only have one character template.
Yeah, you just draw him. He's the same age.
That's a funny idea, John.
At every stage of life, going to the prom, he's still like big fat Rush in like his 50s.
Yep.
That's how.
Same age as when he walked into the Battle Balls bar. Same age.
The
Ball Masters.
It's okay. I never took you to that bar, Tim. I don't expect you to remember the name.
Battle Balls, but that's in Texas. I think.
Battle Balls. that's the West
Fort
Coast.
Worth to be exact. But anyway.
Well,
so that's the end of the story.
I like your story encompasses your whole childhood. So your
whole being.
You're a unique guest, if you don't mind me saying that.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Tell your wife I love her shoes. I love her shoes.
Hey, look at these shoes.
Are there any Jimmy Choos in there?
They're valuable. I'm selling these too, just like the Star Wars.
You can get almost as much for the Star Wars. Does she have anything there in a men's 11? No. Okay.
But you have. That's a great story, Sam.
Was that a good story?
Yes.
That was actually a good story because it kind of encompassed everything. Yeah.
Cool. Great. Yeah. I'm glad that worked out.
I'm just holding back lots of Star Wars questions about toys. What was the most expensive toy you had that you sold?
I still have it actually. I kept the good ones.
You kept the good ones.
I just saw them in the storage unit down the street. I kept like 4 or 5 of them.
The story's not over.
Unlike your parents, your wife will not allow them in the apartment.
That's true. That is true. My wife's like, get that shit out of here.
Get that shit out of here.
I don't want to see that crap. The most expensive one I have is a Luke Skywalker original, like, it's like a book. Like they would print them, like a new print. It's like the first edition of it from 1995. It's the ones where they were all buff. Again, Ballmasters. They had like 6 packs. It was crazy.
Yes, I used to go to Ballmasters for lightsaber night.
Jeez.
In this case, the package.
The package, but I'm sure we got all sorts of double entendres here. No, I'm sorry, Sam. That was uncalled for. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, the jokes are writing themselves.
They are.
They're all just like.
We like to call them jokes.
The reason it's worth, I think, $400 because the lightsaber is like not correctly sized to the plastic that it's in. That's it. It's like an error. The factory messed up, and it's worth $400
because
that's it.
Really? How did you get this factory error? Or it's common? No, but
there were like a
he could tell you, Tim, but then he'd have to kill you. Right?
No, they made so many that the machines would make a mistake for like a round of toys, and then they'd correct it, and then the next round would not have that mistake. So anytime there was an error, it would be worth a little bit more money. And that's
when Sam said he had to go out to New Jersey to get these toys, he got them from a guy named Jimmy the Snake. He can't give out too much information.
These toys fell off the back of a Toys R Us truck.
Okay, Sam.
So that's I guess the last thing I will plug, besides my cartoons in general, that show was it Fairfax? I did the background design for.
I know that. Yes,
2 seasons of Fairfax on Amazon. That was fun to work. That was fun to work on. I worked on that remotely from Miami, so that was interesting. Yeah, pretty
very
funny.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Now, Sam.
Yes.
You've been here an hour. We do a thing called the study quiz, usually with me and John, but this one I made Star Wars themed. Do you want to stay like 3 minutes?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll call it
the big code.
SETI Q&A.
Brain twist.
Answering quizzes.
Theme song. Do you like quizzes, John?
I do love quizzes. I'll call it SETI Q&A.
Brain twist. The bib code. I love quizzes. The bib code.
I'll call it theme song. No.
That sounds
5 questions. 5 questions.
No, 4.
Oh, it's only 4. Okay, 4 questions. I'm sorry.
Sam's all excited, but Sam.
Damn, I want to answer that 5th question.
All right. These questions are more like the 3 of us will agree which is the right answer. So these are about the original Star Wars characters: Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Obi-Wan, C-3PO, and Darth Vader. So just 4 questions. So question number 1. John hasn't heard these yet.
I have not heard these yet either. So,
out of those characters, which character would most likely purposely fart in a crowded elevator?
Probably Chewbacca.
That was my vote. That's what I thought. What do you think, John?
It was, for me, it was a toss-up between. I'm going to say Han Solo. Just to be a rebel.
In the original movie, yeah, he was supposed to be that.
These are opinion-based questions.
Yeah,
exactly. There's no correct answer.
But even if Leia was in the elevator, do you think
that in a deleted scene at some point?
Yes,
the Chewie fart scene.
I don't know. I guess it depend. I guess it would depend how coked up Carrie Fisher was that day. She might just let one rip. Well, I don't know.
I thought somebody would say Darth Vader, and I was going to have a big argument about does he have those human parts left?
I don't think he does. I think that got destroyed.
Yeah, I think so.
It would be a very different breathing sound from the.
Well, I'm sorry. That would be a Darth Vader fart. Anyway.
Well, I think we all agree Chewie. Anyway.
I still say Han Solo. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't
think Chewie could help it.
I want to let Sam get out of here with these stupid questions. So, question number 2.
What's the next one?
Which of these characters would most likely start a podcast?
C-3PO and R2-D2.
That was my answer. C-3PO.
Because they observed the stories, and so they'd have
right.
They're not active as much in the stories, so they would have a lot to talk about.
Right. Yeah, it would be a very annoying podcast,
right?
But it would be a podcast.
They would be doing a lot of commercials. I feel like they do a lot of commercial breaks.
Commercials for ball masters.
Yes.
Get that.
Oh, Archie, did you know that they're talking about like the 17 languages of Dagobah or something? I don't know.
All right, and the third one, which character would most likely have a sitcom TV show? Which I think is the same answer. C-3PO and R2-D2, I think.
I mean, it's the Odd Couple. But, I guess I would say Leia and Han would make for like a good, like, will they, won't they sitcom.
Sexual tension.
Hanging out at the bar on Tatooine.
Right.
I was thinking at Ballmasters. Yeah. I was thinking Leia kind of like comes to Earth, kind of like a Sex and the City, trying to fit in as an alien girl from Alderaan, and like trying to like fit in, like, to like the Sex and the City.
They should do like
that would
Sex
be
and the City, but like Disney Plus version of it with all the new Star Wars people.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. I say, those 2 robots.
Yeah.
And the fourth one, so you can get out of here, Sam. Which character would win in a fight with Maude Finley? Now, do you know
who's Maude Finley?
Maude was a television sitcom spinoff from All in the Family in the 70s.
B. Arthur. B. Arthur.
Golden Girls for you younger people.
Dorothy from the Golden Girls.
Because she Maude, she murdered a lot of people, and she changed her name and moved to Florida.
I'm going to give my answer first.
Go ahead.
None of them could. Maude Finley would be victorious. Vader.
I would say Vader, but as a default.
That was my answer. Was Maude would beat them all too.
Maude would annihilate them all.
I have the unfavorable opinion on this one.
Yes,
maybe then those prequels never would have gotten made. That would have been a plus.
Although, B. Arthur was in the holiday special they did.
That's true.
Back in the late 70s. So
I had see now, Tim. Maybe subconsciously that's what you were thinking of when you thought of that question.
Yeah,
I had totally forgotten.
She would just fight B. Arthur for the position.
Wasn't Art Carney in that too?
Yeah.
Art Carney was in that, yeah.
Wow.
Art Carney was popping up in all sorts of things. He got that Oscar. Like, give me the money. Show me the money. I'll do anything. I'll do the Ringo TV special. I'll do.
Who would win a fight, Art Carney or B. Arthur?
B. Arthur.
Oh, B. Arthur. B. Arthur beats everyone. B. Arthur could beat the alien in Alien.
Well, Sam, anyway, we've kept you for your hour, and I appreciate it. I kept you around for that stupid quiz.
This was my favorite therapy session so far this week.
That's that's the nicest compliment since Marcy told us she felt so wonderful being on the show or something.
This was really fun. I really did enjoy it. I mean, that's sincere.
Okay. Well, we enjoy looking at your wife's shoes.
That's why I
do. Yeah.
John does. Yeah.
I do, because I see the pair I'm going to wear next time I go to Ballmasters.
Great.
All right.
Great material
for lightsaber night. Okay.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Tim. Nice meeting you, John.
Nice to meet you too, Sam.
Okay, say, John, this is the end of the show, and we did get some emails.
That was a great interview with Sam. I like Sam. Sam was a good guy, and his wife has wonderful shoes.
Wonderful shoes. Yes,
wonderful shoes.
I really appreciate.
She's got a men's size 11 and those Jimmy Choo heels. I know what I'm wearing to lightsaber night at Ballmasters.
We'll have him back on the show so we can look at his wife's shoes again.
Yeah, well, he could hold up the labels into the camera. Yeah.
But okay. But we have emails, and if you want to email the show, SETIBIMCO with an E at gmail.com. We're at Twitter at SETIBIM and Instagram SETI_BIMCO. And we got more mail. This is from a Miss, I won't give her whole name, Miss Rodriguez. She writes, I was wondering if you could recommend someone.
You did send me this email, and I feel this is like a Latin American dating site. Maybe is going to be my first guess. I think there must be, maybe there's a Latin American dating site that kind of sounds like, or like an escort service that kind of sounds like SETI-BIMCO, and like if you just like keyed in like one wrong letter, suddenly you're listening to our podcast. So that's my first. That's my gut feeling, Tim.
Yes, and I can't recommend anyone. So
I can barely find anybody for myself, honey. I can't help. There's no way I'm going to be helping anybody else.
We have an email from a guest that was once on the show, George O'Connor.
Oh, George! Yay!
He left the green room with what was it? Potato skins, and he drank all the olive oil,
and it took.
He left a mess.
Anyway, it took me a while to get that bathroom right. But anyway, go ahead.
George writes in, hi, one-time guest, first-time writer. Why so much mod talk? Who hurt you both so badly that you need to express yourselves this way? Talking about an old B. Arthur vehicle from the early 70s week after week. Also, who's your favorite member of the X-Men? Thanks. I'll take my answer off the air. Love, George. Thanks for writing, George. And we're not giving away the secret to the mod. What? You don't ask that question.
Mine was, of course, my cold, uncaring parents failed to show me any love, and the only way I could find that love was through B. Arthur as mod. That's my reason.
It's your reason. I have a secret reason.
Okay.
We're not telling everybody all the reasons, not all at once. It's like a chess game. Right? The SETIverse is like a chess game. Once you figure out, this piece moves this way, but this other piece moves a different way. Right, John?
But you think about it, but compared to my parents, Maude Finley was warm and fuzzy. So there you go, George. There you go, George O'Connor.
Oh, he also wants to know your favorite member of the X-Men.
Cyclops. Okay. Only because James Marsden is so hot. But anyway, go ahead.
Who was mine? Mine was the same thing, Cyclops. Totally different reasons.
Because James Marsden was so hot?
Yes. Different silly reasons. I don't know why I related to that character in the comic. I'm not going to go into that. It's not a comic book podcast. And John, you read Justice League. You didn't really read X-Men.
I didn't really read the X-Men.
Well, in the comics, Cyclops was the kind of sullen leader of the group. He was a serious guy.
Well, there you go. Me as a teenager, sullen. There you go, right there.
So there you go, George. Thanks for writing a letter.
Thanks, George.
And next week, no guest. We're going to watch a movie from I'm picking movies about teenage or high school. We won't get into that. But next week, we're going to watch The Boys Next Door because it's playing for free on Midnight Pulp, this website that I guess we're going to hype so that they'll mention us or be our sponsor.
And I actually remember this movie.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all, so that's funny.
It was like on... I'll explain it next week.
Yes, it was playing in Sweden.
No, it was not playing in Sweden.
All right, John. Great show. Right, Tim. We'll see you next week.
All right, a pleasure as always, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Study Bimco is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.